Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 18. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What's
hey,
up?
Jared.
What's going on, man? Hey, guys, this is the first ever podcast where Matt is shirtless.
Yeah,
it's
Jared
awesome.
was actually pulling for a bottomless podcast, but not tonight.
Hey, man. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, so, yeah, man. So, Jared, how was your weekend, dude?
It wasn't too bad. I went to a little housewarming party yesterday and went to the bar on Friday. Nothing too crazy. How about you, man? What'd you do?
I went out to, it's basically like I've got some, it's like my mom's like half-sister's stepfather's family out in like Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's a little confusing to think about.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Especially right now.
Yeah, especially because we just hit that Duggar, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's out in like PA, and they have this really sweet setup where they were basically left this land from their like great grandfather, and it's like this land. It's like on a mountain, and it's all like surrounded by trees. And they were left this land on the stipulation that they could never sell it unless every last one of them wanted to sell the land. So, and it's never going to get to the point where everyone would want to sell the land. So basically, this guy's ancestors always have a place to live.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. And like every year, there is a get together where it's just family and friends, and like it ends up being like well over 100 people there, and on just camping on this property. Some people just come for the weekend, and then some people come for like a whole week.
You said over 100 people?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like over 100 people. Like I've heard 150 to 200 before.
These are all family members and friends?
Yeah, friends and family members.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, like meeting up on this mountainside, and it's secluded by trees, and everybody's just like hanging out and partying. And then on Saturday, traditionally, I think the family's been doing this thing where they go down the river for I don't know how many years. I mean, it has to be like over 40 years. So they all go tubing down this river, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're tubing down the river, you're just hanging out, drinking, whatever. But there's like over 100 people tubing down this river at one time altogether.
Is there rapids?
No. It's a very slow river.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not like whitewatering and shit, like people getting tossed out?
No. And it's like, technically, like I'm not blood related to these, like to the family that sets the thing up, No. But, just from like my mom's half sister or like her stepdad, is like, he's basically like the head honcho on this mountain. And it's really cool because the dude's like just like super libertarian, and
nice.
I doubt he would even know what the word libertarian meant, but it's basically like the only rules are, you just don't hurt anybody.
Right.
Those are the only rules.
Yeah.
Like somebody was whining about shooting guns, and he's like, fuck you. He's like, oh, I've shot guns my whole life. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
what were you guys shooting guns on the property?
There were people shooting guns on the property,
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course, there's a blazing, and like it's fun times, man. It's just a really awesome like hangout.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking awesome time.
Yeah, it's badass. I've went the past couple of years, and I would like to keep going every year. Like
nice.
it's one of those things that I look forward to every year. So. Yeah, I'm coming off of a pretty nice weekend. I've only been home. It's Sunday night at about 7:30, and I've been home for like a couple hours now.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Did you do any hunting up there?
No, I did not do any.
Maybe
hunting.
for any endangered wildlife?
No, I've actually never been hunting.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've never either. I shot guns, but not at animals. Not that I wouldn't, but it's just never really. It's never really been something I've like tried to seek out. I mean, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to go on a hunting trip?" I'd probably be like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
If somebody was like, "Hey, you want to go hunt endangered species?"
So, you heard about this whole Cecil the lion thing, right?
No, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right. It's impossible to not hear about this shit. Yeah, so
Dude, I haven't even clicked on like an article about this. I just think the whole thing is like fucking dumb.
Why?
Because last week we were talking about the police state. Now we're talking about Cecil the Lion.
Yeah.
It's okay. You want to talk about animals getting killed? To talk about like, I was reading the other day like one police precinct somewhere, like they killed like 92 dogs in 3 months or something.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about like people killing animals, talk about puppycide. Talk about like, how many dogs do police kill a year?
Right.
It's just fucking crazy, and these are people's pets.
Right. Yeah. These actually have like meaning to people.
Yeah,
and
totally, man.
And they aren't actually like savage beasts that kill other animals and people.
Yeah, and I feel like it's an issue that's going to affect all of us here in the States a little bit more. Because I don't know how this goes about all over the world. I don't know if cops are doing this worldwide. I can't say I've heard of it happening in any other places. But, I'm not as prone to follow,
Right.
Yeah, like, so.
Well, I don't necessarily fault people for caring. It's just, it's like the hashtag bandwagon that really gets on my nerves.
Jared, you want to try not to be such a status sympathizer, dude.
A status advocate.
Yeah, a status sympathizer, dude.
Yeah. No, like, it's just people, like I said, people hop on the hashtag bandwagon. And suddenly they're like animal conservationists, even though a week ago they couldn't have given 2 fucks about endangered species or poaching or any of that shit. And so
yeah, it really is like a trend thing. It's like buying an Old Navy shirt. You're just
yeah.
like, or what are the fucking not the members only jackets, but now they have like the North Face jackets. They're like the members only of the 20 teens.
The puff. You're talking like the puffy jackets?
Yeah, anything. It's just like it's like a fashion statement almost.
Right.
It's so many people just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Last week we were actually talking about something. Like I feel like just super relevant, super important. And then a lion comes into the picture. And I'm not one of those people who's like, whoa, this is a distraction. The government created this.
Yeah.
Alex Jones has the documents.
Right.
But, I don't know, man. I'm just not too pumped about this conversation, basically.
Yeah, no, I'm not either.
Yeah.
But what do you think about... So, like... you said you haven't really read any articles, but... So, like, basically this dude went out... Killed.
I just know a guy shot an endangered species, and the guy was a dentist. But I
don't even think it is that specific lion is endangered, which is funny. But
okay.
Either way, he hunted an animal illegally that happened to have a name given to it by people for whatever reason, and people got super upset.
Was it illegal? It was totally illegal.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember the full story, but. Essentially, he lured it off of some sort of game preserve, and then killed it, and then I don't know. It's somewhat complicated, but basically, they're saying he killed it illegally, which is essentially just poaching. But so there was obviously this huge outrage with hashtag Cecil Lion or whatever, and then a bunch of people went onto this guy's Yelp page because he's a dentist. And he got thousands of people just giving him 1-star reviews, calling him all sorts of shit like animal killer and monster and shit like that. And I just kind of thought about it in the context of a voluntary society. Is that the way that things should be handled? Should we shame people to get them to stop doing things, or is shame itself an act of aggression?
I don't think there's anything wrong with shaming people.
You don't see anything wrong with people hopping on his dentist page and tearing him apart?
No, I don't know. I think that's fucking free speech. And if you don't like what the guy did, if he wants to block you off his page, that's his right. But whatever.
You can't do that on Yelp though.
Oh, on Yelp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Yelp is a bullshit website to begin with.
Yeah.
I've told you my feelings of Yelp. It should be called bitch.com.
Right.
And, they're this big extortion bracket for businesses.
Racket.
Racket.
Yeah.
Not a bracket. A bracket's something else. Something other.
Yeah.
So, Yelp is bullshit, man.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man. I think there is a place for people to
Dude, I think you should totally shame people, and I think that's your freedom of speech to shame people.
Right. Yeah, it just bothers me when you have thousands of people piling onto one person. I mean, I guess in this case, it doesn't upset me that much because he did do something like really illegal.
Yeah, but I mean,
and really fucked up. But or is it? I don't know. I mean, I'm not that too keen on.
Is it fucked up? Yeah. I mean, well, if he lured the lion off of this place where he couldn't shoot it,
right?
I don't know. I think in the very least, whether it's illegal or not to do that, I think it's sneaky as hell to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it in terms of like property,
how did he lure the lion?
He put bait out.
Like what kind of bait, dude?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess like probably raw meat of some type.
Huh. Okay.
That's just what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, like if he lured it off of property, even though I think it was state property, but you know, like if it was like a free society or whatever, it'd probably be private property. And yeah, I mean, if he lured someone's animal off their property and killed it, then that is stealing, essentially. So, yeah. But, so, like, yeah, in this case, I kind of get it. But then, like, I heard, and I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the lady who, she was, like, working for a PR company, and she was, like, on a flight to Africa, and she tweeted...
Dude, wouldn't there be one argument, too? Like, whoever is in charge of, like, keeping this lion, like, shouldn't they set up the property to where the lion can't walk off and be shot?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying there? Like, isn't some of that their responsibility, too?
I guess, yeah. But, I mean, if you lure someone's, like, dog off their property and get it to jump the fence, I mean, that's still on you, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, I'm saying, though, like, where did this lion run to? I mean, is it a place where kids could be?
No, I'm pretty sure it's in the middle of the fucking jungle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Or the savannah or whatever the fuck, you know? Yeah, but anyways, I was saying about...
So I mean, in other words, but I just want to say, like, it is sneaky, and I think from what I've heard, I think the guy does deserve to be shamed. But, I mean, it's just kind of dumb that this would get to be this popular. It just seems, like, unfair, you know?
Yeah.
Sandra Bland was just killed. There was the Native American activist that died, like, a couple days later. And did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many police brutality stories this week. You know, there was that young teenager who was... I saw a Free Thought article about it. It was like a baby-faced kid that was shot for like a little bag of weed.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was shot in the back, too. I mean, it's just fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, I certainly agree. I mean, if there was... I mean, I wouldn't be as... I guess upset about it if it was like equal outrage. I mean, I think people have the right to be outraged about both. It's just the fact that...
Well, you have the right to be outraged about whatever you want to be outraged about. But, I mean, I just think it's insane to be so... I don't know.
It's just disproportionate.
I think so. I think this is making more news than Sandra Bland. And that's pretty fucked up.
Right.
You know, not enough people are talking about Sandra Bland, but everybody's talking about this fucking lion.
Right. Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm sad for the lion, too, but it's like, whoa. Don't forget about the police state, you know?
Yeah.
Just offing people in record numbers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. It's not as... I mean, people got on the sort of like the Black Lives Matter train for a while, but... Or All Lives Matter. But, yeah, I mean, not to the degree that the Cecil the Lion shit just kind of just took off. I mean, it was on, like, fucking... what's that fucking talk show? Jimmy Kimmel. Like, he made some sort of joke set about it, like, with a statement. So, yeah, I mean...
So Jimmy Kimmel broke this?
I'm not saying he broke it. I'm saying he, like, just brought it up on the show, and and his video went viral. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, okay... It just reminds me of like Coney 2012, like that kind of shit, you know. Even though this actually happened.
Whatever happened with that?
Exactly right. It's just the outrage of the week, essentially, you know.
It's interesting. Well, whatever happened with that?
Well, did you hear about the dude like lost his mind and was like jerking off in traffic?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, the guy who was like running the whole campaign or whatever. He, like, was found, like, jerking off in traffic or something like that.
How did I miss that?
Yeah. Just, like, running through the streets of New York or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild. But, I was going to finish that other story, but I don't know. we can move on to something a little bit more relevant.
Cool.
So yeah, we've talked about gravity payments before on the podcast. You know about that a little bit better than I do, at least the initial story about
so
them.
Dan Price is the CEO. I believe at the time he was like 31 years old. And he decided to make the minimum wage at his company $70,000 per year. And personally, I mean, I thought this was cool. Like, I liked his idea. And then, I don't know. Like, I saw an interview with him, and he was explaining his idea. And, you know, the person was kind of giving him all these kind of like socialist props or whatever, and he was just like, I mean, he was just pointing out how it was it was like an entrepreneur thing to do. It's actually gotten him publicity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it should put his business into the spotlight. So for me, it seemed like he was saying it was a capitalist thing to do,
right?
And it didn't sound like he was. It didn't sound like he was in favor of like raising the minimum wage, or he wasn't. He didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah,
he was just talking about raising the rates at his company. You know, he wasn't touting like some statist message of raising the minimum wage. And the thing, like, so I mean, I thought this dude was cool. I thought he had like an interesting idea. You know, people were getting behind it. You know, and whether you think the minimum wage should be raised or not, I think most people could agree that it's damn near impossible to live off minimum wage. You know, if you just add up what you would make minimum wage and then, you know, how much rent is anywhere.
Right.
You know, it's going to be impossible, or, you know, you're going to have to get multiple roommates. I mean, who knows? It's fucking minimum wage isn't much to live off of. And so anyways, and I'm disappointed. Like, a lot of libertarians busted on this guy hard, but it's not like he's calling for a stated solution, forcing everybody to pay everybody more. It sounded like he was just doing his own thing. So wouldn't that be like a market win? And he was also doing this to get more attention. He was kind of like,
yeah,
his whole thing, like, he had a capitalist angle to it as well.
Mm-hmm. And,
you know, his plan was just for everybody to make more money. You know?
Right. So now
everybody in his company.
Now it seems like he's running into some issues. So basically, like, people that were already working there, okay, because of all this new publicity he's gotten, he's had to hire more people because the company's growing, he's getting more business. So he's hiring new people at this wage of $70,000, and I guess people that were already working there and had been there since he started the company or whatever were kind of pissed off because they had put in, you know, 3 years or so, I think, is how long they've been around.
Yeah, I think it was like people that were making like $40,000 got bumped up to $50,000. And like from what I read, I just read a little bit into it, and this guy that was bumped up, you know, who theoretically, you know, should be pretty happy because now he's making like 20% more with this first pay increase or whatever. And apparently he said that it was working out like this. Like, you know, he was doing a great job, and then he was working alongside these other people that are making the same amount of money, and they just didn't have the incentive to work hard.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean...
So you're running into that sort of, like, socialist problem where there's no incentive to work harder than the person next to you because you're both going to make the same amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe Dan Price should have thought it out a little bit better. Maybe 70,000 wouldn't be the answer. Or, you know, maybe he should have thought about, like, incentivizing, you know,
right,
a little bit more.
Maybe just giving out bonuses or
something
like that. I don't know.
Or maybe this one dude has some sort of, like, personal thing, and this is just his take on it, and maybe it's bullshit. I mean,
but apparently,
how many people work at the company? Yeah, two people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then apparently he's actually lost some of his clients because they don't agree with his philosophy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
which fuck them, but
yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, why the fuck do you care? I mean, it's like fucking leave the company if they give you a bad service. So, I mean, you should be able to leave for whatever reason you want to leave. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a dumb reason to leave because he wants to pay his employees well. You're going to leave,
right?
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just read too many of the people touting it as like some sort of socialist or pro-minimum wage move, which it really wasn't. It was just, hey, I think I can just have a better culture if I just give these people more money, and in turn I get more productivity and better ideas. You know, that's a fucking capitalist thing.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It makes me think about, like, my dad, like, a couple months ago was telling me about my great grandfather, and my great grandfather came over from Sweden, and so basically, I believe this was in like Mississippi or something, and so basically like he had like a fishing business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was from Sweden, so I mean he wasn't I guess as racist as some of the white folks were in the States at that time around the early 1900s, and he would actually hire black men to work for him, right?
Right.
And then now the problem that some people have with this was that he was paying his black workers as much as other people were paying white workers.
Mm.
So it's basically the white workers that worked at the other fishing places were like pissed at him.
Okay.
you know, because he was paying the black guys as much as they were making.
Right.
And, you know, he was just like, yeah, fuck you guys. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm paying my workers what I want. You know?
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
I just thought that was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, should he be hurt for that? You know, I mean, I think if you're delivering a good product, you're delivering a good product.
Right.
Personally, I would be more prone to want to buy from somebody like that or buy from somebody like Dan Price, because I don't know. I mean, like, I like his idea. Now, if he's delivering a bad service, I want to buy from him. But if he's delivering a good service at a reasonable price and he's paying his employees well, I mean, dude, how is that not a place that you would want to shop at?
Right.
You know, I mean,
because you know,
it sounds
whoever
like a
you're
good idea,
right?
But, I mean, it's got to be a combination of like the three. If somebody's paying their employees well, but you're getting shitty service, you're not going to want to go there.
No, of course not.
You know, I would like to hear about Dan Price's service. Like, has anybody critiqued that? Like, you know,
right?
So
yeah, I don't know.
I think that would be pretty interesting. You know, I mean, but so far, you know, I like Dan Price. You know, I think his heart's in the right place. And, you know, he's not, like I said, he's not suggesting government impose force on other to make everybody else pay somebody $70,000.
Right.
That's just how he wants to operate his business. And he's hoping it'll catch on for work for him. And he's hoping more people will take that approach. And how is that not like a capitalist way of doing things?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if his model ends up working and he, you know, defeats all the other competition. Yeah, dude. I mean, it could catch on. You could see it more often.
And dude, I get so enraged when I'm on Facebook and I see these people that are you know, normally or people who are libertarians, who identify as libertarians or anarchist, voluntarist, you know, and they're ragging on Dan Price, calling him stupid. And it's like, okay, I mean,
why?
Like seriously, I mean, this is a guy off doing his own thing. I mean, this is the fucking market. You know? It's you know, why are you hating on this guy so much, man? It just seems.
I think people just hate on rich people and business owners for whatever reason. I mean, are these people like left leaning or?
Well, I mean, no.
Like
I think it's more of a conservative type thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't get the thing. I mean,
is it just that it seems very like minimum wage?
I don't know.
I mean, it essentially is a minimum wage, but just within his company. So maybe they're just drawing the parallel incorrectly there, and not understanding that it's not under four. It's not a minimum wage. Like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with a minimum wage. The problem is a minimum wage that's backed by force. So, like, if we decide together, like, we're going to be in a partnership with our companies, but we're going to make sure we each subscribe to this minimum wage, you know, and then let's say one of us backs out of that minimum wage, you know, then, okay, that puts the partnership in jeopardy. You know what I mean? It's a minimum wage, but it's being set voluntarily, whereas the state minimum wage is if you decide you want to pay your workers less than minimum wage, or you want to work for less than minimum wage, you go to jail.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's your take on the whole, like, Dan Price gravity payments thing? Are you a fan of Dan Price? Or, I mean, do you think this is hilarious that these problems are happening? Because, I mean, I think it's like, okay.
Hilarious?
You know, I mean, like, how do you feel about it? Are you like would you say, first question, are you a supporter of Dan Price?
Yeah, no, I think the guy's cool, man. I mean, he's, someone that works for him sent us an email recently asking who to send a thank you note to for writing articles about him.
Wow. So recently? Like, how recently?
I got an email like last week, and I just said, yeah, you can send it to this email. It was just like the info at Punk Rock Libertarians. And I haven't got anything yet, but I guess he's probably just writing a whole bunch.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean,
I've talked to him a little bit on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, he seems like a cool guy. As
soon as I saw his story, I knew I had to write an article about him.
Right.
He was just fucking cool as shit. And like I don't get these like libertarians like they're cheering for this guy to fail because he pays his employees well. It's like, what's wrong with paying your employees well?
Well, I think it's because it's kind of a socialist model. And so because of that, like libertarians,
I don't think it's a socialist. I don't think he's not saying everybody at this company is going to make $70,000. What he's saying is the minimum wage in this company will be $70,000.
Right.
That's all he's saying.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm just saying it sort of sounds socialist.
Well,
because
I mean, dude,
because
it's like I said, if
I think
you saw the interview, you know,
no, I saw the interview.
Yeah,
I'm just explaining to you what
he's got capitalist motives.
Right. No, totally.
And he's paying people well too. It's basically like, okay, this is an example of capitalism not being evil. You know, we should be championing this dude.
The problem though is if
he's paying above. I'm not saying that like you can't find plenty of examples where capitalism isn't being evil. But I mean, I don't know. I think this guy is like capitalism on its best behavior.
Yeah,
like it seems like.
Yeah, the only
we should be cheering him on. We should be hoping he succeeds.
I'm with you, man. The only thing is, I mean, it sort of raises like economic questions because essentially what he's doing is he's paying a lot of these people over their market value. You know, like a programmer that should only be making like $50,000 is now making $70,000, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's sort of it's an interesting thing to observe to see how those market pressures will work.
Well, I mean, like they should theoretically work well because, you know, if you're paying people more than they would normally make for that position, you're going to have a bunch of people applying at your job. Therefore, you're going to be able to choose between like fucking everybody. You know, if you're giving like a typical $30,000 a year a job position to out at like $70K a year, you know, you're gonna have a lot of fucking people applying to your company. So you should be able to choose between the best of the best. So that seems like a good idea. So what's the next problem?
Well, the next problem is that person has to be better enough where they're going to generate enough profit to make up for that $40,000 they had to pay him, the $40,000 extra. That's where the problem comes. Because I mean, like, you know, everybody at my job would be making like 50% more potentially, but it's a small business and we just don't have the capital at this point. So it's not an issue of like...
No, and I understand.
You know what I mean?
I understand not every business is going to be able to afford to pay somebody $70,000. You know, I totally understand that. But, you know, one thing that I will say is I was just assuming that Dan Price was making the kind of money where he could.
Yeah. No,
because,
I
you know,
no
it seemed
idea
like
what
it was a
his
capitalist decision. So you like...
Yeah, you would think he had...
I assumed that he had his ducks in order.
Yeah, no, and totally. I'm just saying that's the economic problem that arises. But yeah, I mean, if he's able to surmount that issue, I think it'll put him above other companies that are sort of at a similar level but pay their employees less money. So yeah, no, I mean, I like the guy. I hope it works out. And I don't understand people, at least voluntarist, libertarian, anarchists that are against this guy. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, any interview that I've seen with the guy seems to have like a capitalist motive, but you know, he's also I'd say he's generous. He's not only fair but generous, you know? And
yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just a lot of the people that just read like too much Anne Miranda or something. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know.
Could be all the objectivists.
Like, what's your feelings on Rand?
I mean, I haven't read like a shitload of Rand. But I don't know, man. I mean, she's a minarchist for one. Which is an issue.
She was totally against anarchists. I mean, I don't think it's that big of an issue personally. I mean, if you want less government and more freedom, you know, I want to go in that direction too. So, you know, until we get to where you want to stop, you know, shouldn't be too big of a problem.
I guess it's the whole like selfishness is a virtue thing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she kind of sounded like a bitch.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but it's...
I mean, I get the point she's making. But
yeah, and she does make points, and she makes them sounding smart.
I don't think being selfish is necessarily the best way to run a business or be profitable.
Or be a decent human being.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the great thing about capitalism is it harnesses the power of greed and the power of selfishness for good a lot of the time. But whereas, like, those things manifest in, like, statism just result in just horrible atrocities.
Well, crony capitalism.
Right.
You know, we got partnership of government and business to, eliminate competition. Of course, that's going to be bad.
Right. But yeah, I mean, like, the deeper philosophical stuff that she talks about, I'm not as familiar on. I don't know. I just don't really see the need to get into her shit very much because there's plenty of other philosophers that I think are more on point. So I haven't really delved in. How about you? What's your take on her?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I mean, I just kind of thought she was a bitch.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think she's like.
And then there's like
I don't think she's the
like,
best spokesperson for libertarianism.
Yeah, and then there's like
to me,
sort of like the cultishness of like the objectivists.
Yeah.
Like there's like a head objectivist, and like it's like what? That's kind of like the opposite of what I think libertarianism is about, right?
I think so.
But yeah. So recently, D.A.R.E came out with some interesting news.
Yeah, like apparently they wrote an article about how marijuana should be legalized.
And D.A.R.E is the school program. It stands for what is it? Drugs. What is it? Fuck.
Dude, I don't even know.
I forget, dude. But basically, it's like an anti-drug
I
school
didn't
program.
pay too much attention.
Yeah. But it was like an anti-drug school program, or still is, that basically goes around to schools and puts on these presentations where they just demonize all drugs and just scare kids into not doing drugs. Which is the totally wrong way to go about drug education.
Says you.
Yeah, well, says statistics, I would say.
Okay.
So what did they do? They
like apparently they wrote an article calling for marijuana legalization, and that's so cool. It's so telling of the times because when even D.A.R.E's waking up, you're onto something.
Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome.
But wasn't a deal like they removed the article though, like shortly thereafter, because people were giving him shit.
Yeah, I think so. I think I read that. I think someone commented that on that article.
But I mean, whatever, it fucking happened.
Someone posted it,
and they probably caused more commotion by renewing it.
By
more commotion by removing the article. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it happened, and it's cool. I think it's really big news for this week, and I don't know. It's like I said, it's real telling of the times.
Yeah, I mean, but that whole program is just totally fucked up because they're just basically it's just a scare tactic to get kids to not use drugs. But they're essentially just telling lies. They're I guess up until this point, or probably after this point, because they took the article down, they were essentially equating marijuana with heroin, cocaine, acid, all these different drugs that all have varying characteristics to them, and you can't put them all in the same classification, especially weed. I mean, it's common knowledge now, or it's becoming common knowledge that marijuana is probably one of the least harmful drugs that you can take. And to sort of go in and just have this attitude of all drugs are bad, don't do drugs. I mean, all you're doing is you're essentially like lying to these kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when they figure it out, they're like, oh, they said marijuana was bad, but here I am just having a good time eating some fucking chalupas.
What else did they lie to me about? Let's bust out the heroin.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Making marijuana actually a gateway drug.
Right. If you came out with an honest program where you told the actual side effects, you told people that, okay, smoking weed will have these effects. It's not something that you should do all the time per se. If you want to, I guess you can. But I mean, you don't want to necessarily tell kids that, but. You don't lie to them. You don't tell them that they're gonna. I mean, I'm not even sure what they're telling them about weed. I just remember being like scared shitless. Just like if I smoke one joint, my whole life is gonna be ruined. And when I finally tried it, I was like, oh, my life's pretty much the same. maybe a little better. So, but yeah, I mean, if you just had an honest drug program, I think you could stop a lot of. I think you could probably stop kids from experimenting with like the more harmful stuff, like heroin, potentially.
I agree.
And I mean, you know, honesty is the best policy.
Yes.
So yeah, that's cool. You know, I hope somebody puts another article back up, or they actually implement the idea behind that article into their program. But I don't know. I'm holding my breath on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I was disappointed to hear that Roddy Piper died on Friday.
Yeah, it was a bummer, man.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, wrestling growing up, I didn't watch a lot of it. I kind of thought it was like really cheesy. Like I did get into it for
I watched a ton of it, but I came in kind of after he left. Like I came in the Attitude era. Attitude era with like The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H and those guys.
Yeah,
so I kind of missed
out of it by that point.
I kind of missed the Roddy Piper boat, but I was familiar with them, and you know.
Well, like growing up in the 80s, you know, I was born in 1980, and it's like I always thought wrestling was like just really like fake and cheesy and just like super, you know, dramatic, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of ridiculous to me. But then in the early 90s, I had some friends that watched it, and then I watched a little bit of WCW, and it's basically at that point, WCW kind of just seemed like a little more real, a little more honest. You know, there was some staging, but it wasn't as like over the top as WWF. That shit's like a circus, you know. So
yeah.
and then shortly after that, though, I gave WWF a chance because one of my buddies, you know, Rob, would always talk about it, and you know, I just kind of. I kind of like started to get into it for a while, and I just enjoyed it for like the farce that it really is, you know.
Yeah, no,
it was just so utterly ridiculous.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Like once you get over the fact that it's fake and it's essentially like a soap opera.
Yeah,
and you just kind of buy
comedy,
into it.
Yeah,
and you just kind of buy into it, and you're like, this is
soap
actually
opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
and like there was some decent writing in there too, I thought, but
but like for me, Roddy Piper, like, you know, wrestling, there was something I was into for a minute, and I would play like Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo, but it was something I was into for a minute. But for me, with Roddy Piper, there's two movies come to mind, and the first one, actually, I'll say this is the second one really, but this is one, you know, most people haven't heard of. It's called Hell Comes to Frogtown. And in this movie, it's supposed to be like it's like an apocalyptic movie, and I think the world was like nuked or something. So it's basically like most of the humans on Earth are like infertile, you know. So and like the population's dwindling, and it turns out that Roddy Piper like gets picked up, you know, for some crimes or whatever. But then when he's picked up, he's being tested, right?
Yeah.
And apparently he has a very, very high sperm count. So, you know, like for him to get off from his crimes, he's going to go out and bang fertile women. And that's like his whole job of the movie.
That's fucking awesome.
Is to just bang fertile women. Yeah, I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. But,
right.
I mean, it's an awesome movie. A lot of people haven't heard of it, and it's totally badass.
Might have to.
I would not recommend the sequel, which Roddy Piper wasn't in. But yeah, the original Hell Comes to Frogtown, like, check it out. If you like low budget horror movies and you dig Roddy Piper, I mean, fucking go for it. So, and then like the number one movie for me and Piper is John Carpenter's They Live. Have you seen that?
I haven't. No.
Oh, dude.
What's it about?
Dude, we got to have a viewing party sometime.
All right.
So yeah, this movie's cool as shit, man. Like I'm a huge Carpenter fan from like Assault on Precinct 13, and like the Halloween movies, and Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's Vampires. Those are like Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York. Like a huge Carpenter fan.
Right.
So was that a fart, dude?
I'm a little gassy today, man.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's why I don't want to do a bottomless podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, yeah, so like They Live, like the whole premise of the movie is like, you know, Roddy Piper's like it's basically tough economic times in the U.S., and Roddy Piper's like a construction worker. Like he left one place to move to another place because he couldn't find work. And so like he finds work, and he's like living on this like basically like homeless people's like camp, you know, where in like the middle of the city, you know, and basically he stumbles across a block of sunglasses, and when he puts on these sunglasses, he sees that not everything is as it seems, you know. So he puts on these sunglasses and he starts looking at billboards, and he starts seeing like subliminal messages in the billboards.
Okay.
You know, like stuff like consume and like just like all these like messages and shit. And when he puts on these sunglasses, he realizes some people don't look like other people in actuality. You know, they have like basically like skull faces, and they're actually aliens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he has these sunglasses on.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so basically there's like a whole like human resistance underground that are like they're basically trying to like interrupt the frequency on the TV stations and warn about this, and you know, there's basically like a whole war going on. Wow. So anyways, it's a really awesome movie. Yeah, and I would definitely suggest I'd recommend that to people. You know,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think libertarians especially will dig it. So, yeah. So
is he kind of like an action hero?
Yeah, like in those two movies, he is. You know,
right.
But I know he's acted in other stuff. I saw him on like a episode of like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I can't remember what else I've seen him in.
Dude, I forgot about that.
I know he's been in some other stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure people can IMDb him.
Yeah, get on that shit, people. Come on, don't be lazy. So Michael Moore is coming out with a new documentary.
Yeah, I believe it's called Where to Invade Next. And like my whole thing about this is, okay, like it's a good idea, you know. And Michael Moore, you know, while there's a lot of ways, I think like a lot of libertarians aren't a big fan of Michael Moore, myself included.
Yeah, I think a lot of libertarians hate him. Would be more accurate.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically like if he's doing a documentary on the military-industrial complex, you know. I mean, I you know, obviously I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I think if he's exposing it,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, it should be something that we can get behind.
Yeah, no, totally.
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. You know, one thing like right away that I was thinking is like, whoa, dude, when's the last time this guy made a movie?
Yeah.
Like, when did he make Sicko?
I don't know.
Was that like 2005 maybe? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Well, what year did he make Fahrenheit 9/11? That was like 2002, right?
I want to say 3 or 4.
Really? Was that far after?
Yeah, I have no idea, man.
Yeah. IMDb that shit.
It seems like he made Sicko a while ago.
Yeah,
it seems like he could have made this movie a while ago. He's acting like he's doing some like dangerous shit, and he's getting chased by people every day and stuff. I don't know, but I don't know. I think it's kind of, maybe this is kind of conspiratorial sounding of me, but I'm just thinking like, okay, why are you reporting on this so late into the Barack Obama presidency?
Right.
And whereas right now he's announcing this movie. So my guess is after the movie comes out, by the time the movie comes out, Barack Obama won't even be president anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, so it leaves me to think like, what, is there some agreement to not drop this movie while Barry's president?
Could be, yeah.
It just seems like, whoa, are you going on easy on Barry here? You know?
Yeah, like, yeah, why didn't you start making this movie? I mean, he could have made it during the Bush he could have made it during really any presidency, but why not the Bush presidency and then release it as Obama continues the wars?
Yeah, you know? Or why not in 2008? What has Obama did? What has Michael Moore done since then?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's an interesting. I didn't even think about that when I saw that, but
yeah,
that is an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, who knows? It might do some good. Hopefully, it'll expose this thing.
Yeah,
but
the problem is though, like the people that are gonna watch it, I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of lefties will watch it, and
yeah, I mean, well, dude, and a lot of righties might just ignore it because it's Michael Moore.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
but either way, man, if it wakes some lefties up, I mean, that's great. But I mean, we got to see like how he reports on it, you know, and how honest he is. Like, what does he do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Does he lay the blame on corporations, or does he lay the blame on Obama or the government? You know,
yeah. What we got to see how he does it. But I mean, we want to see the military-industrial complex go down, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, regardless of what angle he takes, it's probably going to do some good. But it'll be interesting to see.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. When is that supposed to come out?
I'm not sure.
He just announced that he was making it.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not till Obama's out.
That's my guess.
Yeah. What did I... Oh, AI. Oh, yeah. So, a whole bunch of scientists and, I guess, science-related entrepreneurs came out.
Yeah, I think like over 1,000.
Was it 1,000?
I think it was over 1,000.
Including people like Stephen Hawking. Was Elon Musk on there?
I'm not sure.
Possibly.
But yeah, it was a huge list of notables.
And they were basically coming out and just warning about the dangers of AI. And was it separate from or combined with like advanced weaponry?
I
was
don't know,
were they
man.
talking about AI in general and then sort of mentioned advanced like government weaponry or military weaponry, or were they?
I mean, I'm fuzzy on the details, but I mean, it's like, what do you think about this? Do you think people are being paranoid about that, or do you think it's
I've heard a lot.
concern?
I've heard a lot about this recently from a lot of different people, and I mean, there's all sorts of different groups of people that are talking about this. Some people are like, doomsday prophesizers, just saying like, if things become self-aware, how are we going to stop AI from just taking over or, just causing problems? And then other people are like...
Isn't that a legitimate question, though?
Yeah, I mean,
Stephen Hawking seems to think so.
Right. I mean, but he's not an AI guy, though. I mean, he's a physicist. I mean, there are people that spend their whole life just studying AI.
Yeah, so AI guys are not going to want their funding to be cut, right?
Well, to a degree.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that doesn't necessarily need to work out that way. It's not like all these guys are like working for a company building them AI. Like some people are just studying AI.
But I mean, if you work in AI and you've worked in it for years, and if you rely on funding for AI, your opinion might be a little bit paid for.
A little bit. Or they could be coming out and saying, well, these are the problems that can arise with AI. We need to develop safeguards. So that things like that, things like an AI takeover where they just start killing off people doesn't happen. Because, I mean, now you have, like, these drones being created that can essentially autopilot themselves. Like, they don't even need, like, a guy in the Pentagon, like, running them or whatever, or however that works. I don't even think they're in the Pentagon. I think they're in, like, fucking Indiana. But,
wow.
But yeah, I mean, they're working on ones that'll just be essentially just able to just all on their own, just like identify a target, eliminate it, and then do whatever it needs to do afterwards. And then I guess the problem with that is like if they become self-aware, or not even necessarily self-aware, but if they just kind of go haywire and essentially take on, and this all sounds like science fiction, but it's becoming a reality. But yeah, I mean, if just something goes haywire and they just start flying over America and just shooting civilians or whatever, I mean, there's a number of issues that could happen. So I mean, I think it's definitely a concern, and I think those working on those technologies ought to take that into consideration. But yeah, I mean, there's a wide range of views on the topic. I think of course the media is blowing a lot of it out of proportion. I mean, I've seen some articles that come out that are just like that are saying essentially that like the media is just kind of taking this like they do with everything and just taking it and just made it a huge thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a little scary hearing like Stephen Hawking coming out and saying that stuff. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
So Christie, what do you think about that fella? that big fella.
Oh man. Yeah, Christie. Dude, I think it's insane this week. Christie said that if he's president, he's going to sick the DEA on states where marijuana is legal. So, it sounds like he's going to reduce some of the good that has actually been done, by leaving the federal government off those states. And, it's funny to think about, though, because this is kind of a conservative dilemma. Because, on one hand, you want to oppress people with the drug war because you're a dickhead. But on the other hand, you want to go along with states' rights.
Right.
So what side do you go with if you're a conservative?
You just don't be a conservative. Just be a libertarian.
Yeah, I mean...
Then you don't have the cognitive dissonance that
I
requires.
mean, that's what we hope for. But I think it's pretty funny, though, because, I mean, it's Chris Christie's... I mean... It's funny though.
That guy's just a lot of the idiot blowhard, man.
Like typically, a lot of the states' right people don't.
I mean, he's like worse than Trump in some respects.
I mean, oh man.
I mean, in a lot of respects, because he's actually done damage.
They're also bad. I don't even want to compare them.
Yeah,
they're both horrible.
I don't think the odds of him getting elected are very high though. So
who, Christie?
Yeah, or well, either one of them, but
yeah, I don't think so either.
So,
but
I mean, that's comfort. Cold comfort, but still comfort.
Like I'm always amazed at who we elect, though. Like, really, that guy?
Yeah,
always. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty ridiculous, you know. And then of course there's memes of like, you know, where Chris Christie is talking about, you know, people making bad decisions. Meanwhile, he's eating like a 10-scoop ice cream cone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he wants to talk about, like, the health risks of marijuana while he's, like, 200 pounds overweight and just, like, a fat fucking lard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hypocritical bullshit, but what do you expect from a politician?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty comical. And like I said, it's pretty bad states' rights, too, because, I mean, if you're, like, especially if you're a former governor, I mean, you don't believe in states' rights?
Yeah,
well, you know? And he even says, like, he tells potheads, like, enjoy it now, because it's like, well, okay, so you're just admitting that it's enjoyable. You know?
Yeah,
it's like, you know, oh, it's fun now, but if I'm president, no more fun. Yeah, I mean, it's just absurd.
It's so ridiculous. I can't even fathom what must go on in that man's head. It's depressing.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that's about it for us this week, guys.
Do you want to plug the hangout tomorrow?
Well, this podcast probably isn't going to come out till Wednesday, and the hangout's happening on Monday, so that would probably be a dumb idea, right?
Yeah, good point, dude.
Okay. So, anyways, we'll just scratch all that, because you guys will be in the know by the time this podcast airs, hopefully. So, but I would like to mention, as usual, you know, we've got a place on our website. Any article that you click on punkrocklibertarians.com, you can submit an article. We put this up there so you can submit articles, so we can communicate with each other, and so we can spread these ideas quicker, you know, so we can make a greater difference, so we can create an online community. Mm-hmm. So, submit an article to Punk Rock Libertarians. And
also
check us out on minds.com.
Yeah. Also, we've got a newsletter set up. First issue is going to be coming out tomorrow morning. If you want to get in on that,
that's Monday morning. So
yeah, sorry.
If you're hearing this on Wednesday or whenever we put it up, you're going to be late on that.
Yeah.
So.
But it'll be up next Monday. So, and if you want to like subscribe to that, you can just go to the website. There's a form on the side. Just fill that out.
Which side is it on?
On the right side.
On the right-hand side. Okay.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Yes, sign up for our newsletter, you know, because Facebook is just making it harder and harder for people to see our articles.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and this way you'll get, you know, I'm putting the top 10 articles on there, a little message, and just some news about what's going on.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, think of it this way. If you're following us on Facebook right now, you're not seeing all of our posts, so you're really getting just the tip, you know. And
you want the whole shaft.
Yeah, with the dude, don't say it like that. Like if you get the newsletter though, you know, you're gonna you get the whole the
whole shebang.
Yeah,
you're not getting the shaft. You're getting I don't know. Sorry. Anyways, so yeah, so check that shit out.
All right, peace out, guys. Live free.
We'll do the best for you, and I believe that we have the power. I hate the state. And I know I'm a slave. We can make a break the power, break the power. Statism's blood break, the blood that is shed. Drenching the flags on the tax bombs in red. Poisons by a few at the expense of the many. So do the gods and the death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy. You can put freedom and gunpoint in a fine land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the obsolete.